Have you ever thought about how your money is quietly losing value, even as it sits in your bank account? Or how the financial decisions you make today could be a gift or a curse to your future self? How do we truly make our money work for us instead of against us? And what's the one mindset shift that can help you stop chasing more and start finding contentment? In today's video, we'll dive into the answers, unpacking the power of long-term thinking, mindful financial habits, and the importance of knowing when enough is enough. Let's get into it. Hey everyone. Today I want to dive into something a little different but equally transformative: money. Yep, we're talking about those unconventional money lessons I've picked up along the way. But don't worry, this isn't just any talk about finances. It's more like a mix of personal experiences, Buddhist teachings, and a touch of neuroscience. You know, the kind of wisdom that really sticks with you, like a good meditation session. So, my journey with money started, funny enough, with chocolates. I was just a kid selling chocolates for $1 a piece, saving those dollars with a dream to travel the world. Yeah, I know, very Buddhist monk in training, right? But seriously, it was those early lessons on saving and managing money that laid the groundwork for something bigger. And you know what? As I traveled and met people from all walks of life, that's when I started to realize that money is much more than just dollars and cents. It's like energy. It flows, it connects, and it reflects where we're putting our attention. Now here's where it gets interesting. When you're out there exploring the world, backpack on, living out of a suitcase, you learn something super important: how to stretch your resources. I mean, if you've ever been on the road, you know that every single cent matters. This is when Buddhist mindfulness comes into play. You become super aware of where your money is going, how you're spending it, and how long you can make it last. And honestly, that's when you start to see money not just as something you use, but as something that supports your journey. You and your money, you're like partners on this path, you know? But it's not just about saving. Traveling teaches you to adapt, to be open to experiences, and that's where the neuroscience kicks in. Our brains are wired to learn from new environments. When you meet new people, hear different financial habits, good or bad, it all gets absorbed. The brain literally lights up with curiosity and awareness, making you more financially savvy over time. It's like meditation for your financial habits. One of the biggest lessons I've learned: help your future self. Now this hit me hard. I started thinking about how today's me is actually connected to tomorrow's me, and even the 60-year-old me down the road. In Buddhism, we talk a lot about how everything is connected, right? Well, time works that way too. The choices we make now ripple into the future, just like karma. I realized that every dollar I save today is a gift to that older version of me, a form of compassion, if you will. And here's where it gets trippy. I think about my future self as a companion, someone I'm walking through life with. Right now, I'm 32. I've got energy, ambition, and the privilege of creating content in a world that's relatively stable. No apocalypse yet, folks. So, why not prepare for the days when things might not be so easy? That's the Buddhist mindset of impermanence, right? Nothing lasts forever, including our youthful energy. But that's cool because we can prepare. Imagine this. I'm 60, maybe rocking some gray hair, a bit wiser, and I'm looking back, feeling grateful that 32-year-old me was looking out. It's like I'm building an inheritance for myself, saving compassionately for my own future. That, my friends, is a game changer. Before we dive deeper, I've left a list of 4 incredible books in the video description that I think you'll find super helpful on your own personal development journey. These books really complement what we're talking about today, whether it's mastering your mindset, making smarter financial decisions, or simply living with more intention. I've personally gained so much from them, and I think you will too. Be sure to check them out when you get a chance. Now, let's talk long-term strategy, what I call the 1% rule. This was a huge shift for me. Imagine you suddenly get $100,000 in your bank account. Most people think, great, I have $100K to spend. But hold up, Buddhist philosophy teaches us not to be swayed by immediate gratification, right? Instead of blowing through it, think of that $100,000 as an investment that brings you a little bit of income each month. In neuroscience, We know the brain loves small, consistent rewards. It's the dopamine hit from steady growth, not the rush from spending it all at once. So here's the trick. See that 100K as a source of ongoing income. That way, your brain starts to reframe how it sees money, not as something to spend, but as something to nurture. And that mindset? It's a total game changer when it comes to preserving wealth. It's funny because so many people who suddenly come into a lot of money, lottery winners, athletes, they end up broke. Why? They didn't have the mindful approach. They thought of money as something to use up, not something to grow. It's like in Buddhism, where we say, desire is endless. You'll never have enough if you're always chasing after more. But if you think of your money as a source of ongoing energy, something that can support you for the long haul, you'll find peace in it. Alright, that's a lot to digest, but think about it. In both Buddhism and neuroscience, we're constantly learning that life is about balance. Whether it's our mind or our money, we need to cultivate it, not rush through it. So, how are you going to start thinking about your financial future? Maybe it's time to consider helping your future self, $1 at a time. So here's the reality about money that I had to really sit with. You don't actually possess the full amount you think you do. Nope. What you really have is just 1% of it, working for you each month. That's how I choose to view my money now, through the lens of its potential, not as something static. It's all about focusing on its ability to generate ongoing returns, like a stream flowing, always moving forward. Very Buddhist, right? It's about seeing the impermanence and potential in everything. Now, on to lesson number 3. And wow, this one hit me hard during my travels. Inflation is a sneaky little thing, but it's very real. It creeps up on you, just like the old story of the frog in the boiling water. You know how it goes. If you put the frog in lukewarm water and slowly heat it up, it won't realize it's in danger until it's too late. But if you drop it directly into boiling water, it jumps out immediately. Inflation works exactly the same way. Prices slowly climb while you're not paying attention, and if you're constantly around, you might not notice. But the moment you've been away for a while and come back, bam! It's like you've been tossed into the boiling pot. Suddenly, everything is just so much more expensive. Each time I return home, it's like, whoa, when did life get this expensive? And that brings me to something I used to believe. I thought saving was enough. I was like, yeah, just stack up the money, play it safe. But here's the twist. Letting your money sit there, doing nothing, is just as risky as spending it recklessly. Inflation is quietly eating away at its value. It's like leaving a piece of fruit on the counter. Eventually, it's gonna rot. Even putting it into something low risk like a fixed income investment helps it keep pace with inflation, or at least reduces the impact. And that, my friends, is a win. It's about making sure your money works for you, instead of just shrinking as prices rise. Another big lesson I picked up from my time in the US: money is energy, and energy needs to flow. In Buddhism, we talk a lot about the importance of non-attachment, right? Well, in the US, they've kind of nailed this concept with something super simple: tipping. You pay $10 for a beer, and it's expected you leave a $2 tip. That's how they keep money in circulation, how they keep it moving. They're constantly pushing it back into the economy. It's not about spending recklessly, but about putting it to use, investing, moving, growing. Money, like life itself, should never be stagnant. I used to think hoarding my cash was the safest option, but now I see that it's far better to make it work for me. Speaking of the US, traveling taught me something vital about currency. Every country has its own: Brazil with the real, Argentina with the peso, Europe with the euro. And let me tell you, it took me years to shift my mindset, but I've learned to think in terms of global value. Instead of always converting everything back to my home currency, I started comparing prices in US dollars or euros. That way, I'm looking at value on a global scale, not just through the lens of one local currency. For example, if I'm in a country where a meal costs 1,000,000 pesos, I don't think, wow, that's a ton of money. Instead, I think, how much is this in dollars or euros? It's a whole different way of making smart financial decisions, and trust me, it's empowering. One of the most important things I've learned is to avoid emotional purchases. Oh man, this one's tough. When you're tempted to buy something big, like a fancy new laptop or the latest high-end camera, it's so easy to just click buy and be done with it. But here's the trick. Take a step back. Give yourself time to cool off, do some research, and really think about whether this purchase will bring value to your life. Is it a real need or just an impulse? For example, I haven't bought a PlayStation 5, even though I could. Why? Because after giving it some thought, I realized it wouldn't really add to my life right now. It's about that pause, which is pretty much what mindfulness teaches us, right? Don't rush in, observe and act with clarity. A huge principle that came to me as my income started growing is this: know when enough is enough. This is where Buddhist philosophy hits hard. Desire is endless. No matter how much money you make, how many things you buy, there's always the temptation to want more. But that's a trap. The endless pursuit of more money, more possessions, more status, it can swallow your time and freedom if you let it. The key is recognizing when you've reached a point of financial comfort and finding contentment. You've got to know when to say, I'm good. That sense of satisfaction brings true peace. Otherwise, you'll just keep running on that hamster wheel of life, chasing something you can never fully catch. Lastly, let me share one habit that's been a game changer for me. At the end of every month, I sit down and review my finances. Yup, just me, a notebook, and my bank statements. I track what came in, what went out, and check if I'm making progress toward my goals. This little routine, it keeps me grounded and organized. Knowing exactly where your money is going helps you stay in control and make better decisions. It's the foundation of financial mindfulness. You can't make smart moves if you don't know the game board. So, these are the lessons I've gathered from both my travels and life experiences. They've been instrumental in getting me where I am today. And here's the thing, you don't have to be extraordinary to succeed financially. You just have to be disciplined and organized. Thanks so much for sticking with me all the way to the end. I really hope these lessons on mindful finances, inflation, and avoiding emotional purchases gave you some valuable insights to think about. Remember, it's not about having more, it's about making your money work for you and finding contentment in what you've already got. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more content like this. Also, feel free to share this video with someone you think could benefit from these lessons. And hey, I love reading and responding to every single comment, so drop your thoughts below. I'd love to hear what you think or what financial strategies have worked for you. See you in the next one.